February 1st, 2025, the Lakers would march into Madison Square Garden and beat the Knicks without their star player, Anthony Davis. LeBron James would turn back the clock and deliver a memorable performance that ultimately no one will remember. Why? Because just shortly after the game will come the most shocking trade, a trade that is so shocking that perhaps conspiracy theories are easier to stomach than what is presented. But when you look at all the events that led to this moment, it becomes even more unbelievable. This is truly a story you have to see to believe. To begin, we must go all the way back to 2000. On January 4th, 2000, a young billionaire by the name of Mark Cuban will purchase the Dallas Mavericks to become their owner.
Times have changed. The internet billionaire paid close to $280 million for the Mavericks, a record for an NBA franchise.
Cuban would quickly differentiate himself from the rest of the league for his eccentricities, a kind of a modern-day Jerry Buss.
It's a business that I'm willing to commit as much money as...
Yes, we are back. I am your host, Locker. You can call me Spear. Smash that like, show that subscribe button some love. Your boy trying to make it to 1,000 subs. I need you. Tap in so you can be back in. Without any further ado, let's lock in.
Money as it takes, whatever energy, funding to make this team successful.
Bringing in cutting-edge innovation to the league, investing in his players like no other, and redefining the relationship between an owner and a team. Despite the Mavericks winning over 30 games only once since 1990, after Cuban took over the team, they would win over 50 games for 11 straight seasons, including a finals run in 2006 and a championship in 2011. Now let's go back to the early 2000s. 2 years after Cuban bought the team, also in Dallas was a 30-year-old med school student named Nico Harrison who would apply for a job at Nike. His job would be to represent different players signed to the company. In the summer of 2003, as Nike was
Nico went to the...
and their top executives to recruit a high schooler, LeBron James, Nico Harrison, the junior executive, was therefore tasked with recruiting one sneaker free agent, Kobe Bryant.
Nico Harrison was a young executive at Nike. He was not the guy who was negotiating the deals, but his job was to win Kobe Bryant over on the front line, on the ground.
Harrison would be successful in the pursuit. Kobe Bryant's agent at the time.
All right. So how long has this Luka Doncic trade and Anthony Davis trade been in the works? Kobe is no longer with us, but strangely, Rob Pelinka and Nico, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but I digress.
None other than Rob Pelinka.
And they did this deal together, basically, Rob and Nico. And over the next 20 years, when Nike did something with Kobe, which was a lot, it was Nico Harrison executing it. It was Rob Pelinka negotiating it. They did this for years.
But the way he started trusting me was really my approach to everything I did. It was the same approach he had to basketball.
In the years to come, Pelinka and Harrison would be ingratiated into Kobe's inner circle. According to Ramona Shelburne, they would travel the world and have joint family vacations. These were the two people that Kobe had his ultimate trust in, through his ups and downs, including a very public trade demand. On May 30th, 2007, Kobe would publicly demand a trade from the Los Angeles Lakers.
Are you saying right here on this show that you want to be traded?
Yeah, I would like to trade him.
How bad did the situation get? The Kobe Bryant was booed by LA fans on opening night. Now, one of the deals that was very...
Hey, give me some context on my LA fans or supporters. Y'all know how we get down over here. How you feel about that? Do you agree with that take? Did Kobe have a right to demand a trade or want a trade?
very close to happening was a deal with the Chicago Bulls, where the Lakers would trade out Kobe Bryant and in turn receive Joakim Noah, Ben Gordon, Tyus Thomas, and Luol Deng. However, when Kobe got wind of the deal, he would publicly veto it and not waive his no-trade clause. Why? Because Kobe realized that the Bulls, by sending away Luol Deng, would be deployed of talent. If Kobe were to be dealt to Chicago, he would want to play with Deng. And ultimately, a deal can never materialize. Kobe thus stayed in LA and won 2 more championships. However, in the 2011 offseason, with the Lakers being swept by the eventual champs, the Dallas Mavericks, it was clear that a move was needed for LA to contend again. A move that could bridge the current and the future, to pair the aging Kobe with a young star for one final run. And the Lakers managed to do exactly that. On December 8th, 2011, Adrian Wojnarowski would break the news that the Hornets were working to finalize a deal to send Chris Paul to the Lakers. Now keep in mind that this was during the NBA lockout, where tension between players and owners, between small market teams and big market teams are already at
There go Adam Silver, boy. You always in the...
all-time high. A move like this while the lockout was ongoing, maybe the deal was dead. Woj would reveal that the NBA had caved to the pressure from other owners. One day later, the identity of the owner who was leading the charge against the trade was revealed. None other than Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, saying, quote, "We went through this lockout for a reason. One of the reasons is to give small market teams the ability to keep their stars and the ability to compete."
Supercharge your business.
Now, let's talk about Chris Paul for a second, a Nike athlete. One of the main ways to identify if Nike is serious about a player is if they're given a camp. The Chris Paul basketball camp was a big one, a camp that made a lasting impression on future stars like Steph Curry.
LeBron, like you said, went to his camp, but Chris Paul, Steve Nash, we got to spend a week with each at different camps or something.
Stephen Curry, by 2013, has made a name for himself, leading the underdog Warriors all the way to
Hey, shout out to us at them camps. Drop it. I was in my bag. That's why you was in them camps.
the Western Conference semis. And to make it better, that offseason, the rising Curry would become a sneaker free agent. His current shoe brand, Nike, is in prime position to keep him. Nico Harrison, just like years prior with Kobe, was tasked with re-signing Curry. But Curry was really just an afterthought, again, as Nike was more focused on up-and-coming stars like Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, both who were given their own basketball camps. Nike did not offer Steph his own basketball camp. Not only that, Del Curry, Steph Curry's father,
I beg your pardon?
would allege that one of the executives pronounced Stephen Curry's name as Stephon Curry. And it doesn't just end there. PowerPoint slide would have Kevin Durant's name instead of Curry's.
Yeah, I mean, Nike made a mistake.
Hey, the pronouncement of the name is petty. Hey, you call me anything, just don't call me late for lunch.
Fired! Shots fired!
Oh, your boy be eating around here.
In all honesty, if he would have stayed with Nike, his business would be a monster right now.
On May 7th, 2017, Rob Pelinka
Facts, because I don't know anybody that's trying to go get any of these current Currys.
will be hired by the Los Angeles Lakers as their new GM.
That I can finally know that my running mate is here, my partner.
In just his second year as a GM,
But Magic looked too excited to be sitting next to that man. Y'all know what it is. Got me out here.
and the Lakers free agent LeBron James to sign with them, joining
If he would have stayed with Nike, his business would be a monster right now.
on May 7th, 2017. Rob Pelinka will be hired by the Los Angeles Lakers as their new GM.
That I can finally know that my running mate is here, my partner.
In just his second year as a GM, Pelinka and the Lakers brass were able to convince free agent LeBron James to sign with them, joining a young team with no established stars. The open secret that season was that the Lakers were likely going to use their assets to trade for Pelican star Anthony Davis.
And did you see the look on Anthony Davis's face?
LeBron would claim that it would be, quote, amazing to play with AD. When questioned by the media, LeBron would deflect and list a group of great players, see if any names were.
How you gonna tell them to ask you about hashtag conspiracies in the chats?
All of them. Luka Doncic. That's right.
Yes, Luka, a rookie 2 months into his career, was already thrown into comparisons with AD, Kyrie, and Doncic himself would share the same admiration.
What was your favorite player growing up in the NBA that you admired?
LeBron James. He's like my idol, so I'm looking forward for that. Yeah.
Now, who could have guessed that in just a little over 6 years later, these
Hey, how much did Luka look like he weighed in that photo? I mean, in that video.
two, through incomprehensible circumstances, will end up as teammates. But before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor. Hey everyone, I'm super excited to talk to you today about HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
All right, he do HelloFresh. So if y'all want some HelloFresh, go check it out. Shout out to the content creator.
Now, back to the Lakers' very public pursuit of Anthony Davis. Shadow that hung over the team for the entire season, with proposed trades being leaked day in and day out. Ultimately, the trade did not happen. For Rob Pelinka, another public trade demand, another no deal. Not
But look at the amount of people on that. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, multiple first-round picks.
For Rob Pelinka, another public trade demand, another no deal. Not only that, the bad year continues for Pelinka, as Magic Johnson, the Lakers' president of basketball operations, will quit on the final day of regular season.
People around the Laker office was telling me Rob was saying things. And
Rob Pelinka.
And I didn't like those things being said behind my back. I wasn't in the office enough. And so
Hey, they was laughing and smiling in each other's face. But now it's beef. It's beef. I thought y'all was cool.
So I started getting calls from my friends outside of basketball saying those things now were said to them outside of basketball.
And these are people you trust.
Exactly. When I took the job, you know how many agents called me and said, you got to watch out for him? And I said, I got to give the guy a fair chance.
That summer, the Lakers would finally trade for Anthony Davis, failed to sign Kawhi Leonard after, again, a very public pursuit, but they would manage to win a championship. So I guess not that bad after all. On June 28th, 2021, Nico Harrison would be hired by Mark Cuban as the general manager and president of basketball operations for the Dallas Mavericks.
It wasn't much of an interview process. It was a conversation. And he was telling me his process. And so I'm like, all right, 4 hours later, it's like, wants to sign you.
Oh, that's wow.
I'm like, well, what about the process?
His first major move to trade Kristaps Porzingis in the draft pick to the Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. Though this was a move heavily criticized by the fans at the time, the Mavs would make a run all the way to the Western Conference Finals, led by the duo of Doncic and Jalen Brunson. Harrison's next major move,
I ain't gonna lie. Davis Bertans, my boy scrapped up. Hey, yeah. He got that heater.
to not re-sign Jalen Brunson. Seeing that Luka clearly needed a co-star, Harrison would trade for Kyrie Irving at the deadline. After Irving, Nico then set his eyes on another old client, Anthony Davis, but clearly did not have any remaining assets to make that happen. At the following season's deadline, after a failed pursuit of Kyle Kuzma, Nico Harrison would trade for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. A++ moves.
Hey, how would you rate this trade in all of trades that happened that season? Hashtag the number.
That ultimately led them to an NBA Finals run. But something strange happened earlier that season. On December 27th, 2023, Mark Cuban would sell his majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks.
There's a shakeup going on this morning in the ownership ranks of the NBA.
In an unexpected move, Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban has agreed to sell the majority of his stake in the team. The family of Miriam Adelson, the widow of the GOP donor and casino magnate Sheldon Adelson, they're the prospective buyers of the team.
Probably one of the more shocking NBA transactions of the last few years, and the details are still emerging. But it won't be his team anymore. The Adelson family will have control, and they will have one of their own as the governor of the team, which will report and deal with the NBA.
If you've been waiting for a sign to try Ready Mag, this is it. This is your sign. Your sign to start creating.
The new governor in charge, Patrick Dumont, the son-in-law of Miriam Adelson.
He married into money. You something like obviously you're charmed a lot of money. That's the other thing. They really don't care enough. They don't care about Dallas. They're not from Dallas. They're not Dallas people. It's a real estate play for them.
And with Dumont in charge, he would give Harrison all the roster decision power to lead the Mavericks into a post-Cuban era.
Patrick, he's
Hey man, where my whistle at? Flag on the play. Did y'all see Nico's t-shirt, undershirt on that vest? Right, hold on. Flag on the play. Nico, you cannot wear a V-neck under a dress coat. My boy, you're going to have to get dressed. You can't just throw on a coat that you got in your closet in your office after you done come in here V-necking it up, showing all the taco meat, my boy. Get it together like you and J Kid with them ankle socks.
He's the owner. Obviously, he's the ultimate decision maker, but he entrusts in J Kid and I to lead this team, and he's putting the trust into us.
Under Cuban's leadership, there was a very walking on eggshells approach when it came to criticism towards Luka.
By the way, he doesn't take his conditioning seriously. Every person who worked at the Mavericks was terrified of this guy and wanted to.
Nico Harrison was less fond of Doncic. As a disciple of Kobe Bryant, Harrison believed that Doncic lacked the...
Boy, talk about the tea. It's all coming out. No wonder why Nico has so much beef, or at least so much disappointment in what Luka Doncic had been doing over the past season due to his relationship with Kobe and knowing Kobe Bryant's work ethic. Ooh, that's deep.
The drive for hard work that was essential and an all-time great.
It was the conditioning concerns. It was the belief that he was going to break down. It was the fact they didn't believe in him. They didn't want to build a culture around him. And your superstar is always going to be the most impactful thing in the culture of the franchise.
It also didn't help that the Mavericks analytics department also seemed to be a lot lower on Luka than most. An early red flag regarding the new attitude towards Luka can be traced to the finals Game 3, when Brian Windhorst would launch a scathing attack towards Doncic.
The officials gave him wide latitude, but he's blown by repeatedly over and over through the series, attacking him on defense. He does almost everything else so well. His teammates have begged him. His coaches have begged him.
Despite the public criticism, no one in the Mavs front office would come to Luka's defense.
I heard
this is a video that's been going around, or just people have been referring to this video where Wendy rips Luka Doncic based off his conditioning and the fact that he wasn't at his top tier performance shape.
I heard nothing from the Mavericks.
No.
And from ownership through the front office to the coach, I was standing in the arena for 2 days on end. I wasn't dodging anybody.
Did Wendy just say he wanted the smoke?
Shots fired!
Wendy,
I beg your pardon?
you don't want no smoke.
I went to the press conferences. I was in Luka's press conference. I was standing on the court. Nobody said anything to me.
And with Luka's Supermax extension coming up.
Wendy, maybe they didn't see what you said. Maybe they didn't care. Wendy, we don't care. Not everybody care. I care because I'm going to react to it. I'm trying to get bitch.
Shots fired!
Hey, Wendy, I'm going to let you know we didn't have time. But today,
we are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your ass.
Hey, yo!
You understand?
Like you know the rules. There are no rules, man. We're lost. No. Stop acting like you know the way.
Hey, Wendy. And Wendy, those words, just so you know, Wendy, I see. All right, let's get back to it.
Nico Harrison crossing farming.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house no matter what.
I wasn't dodging anybody. I went to the press conferences. I was in Luka's press conference. I was standing on the court. Nobody said anything to me.
And with Luka's Supermax extension coming up, Nico Harrison will have some difficult decisions to make. But coming off the finals run, the Mavericks would double down on the Kyrie-Luka core, arming them with their best supporting cast to date. In a way, what the Mavericks did for Luka and Kyrie was what the Lakers haven't been doing lately with LeBron and AD. After a disastrous Russell Westbrook trade in 2022, the Lakers would wait a full season before trading away Westbrook at the 2023 deadline, and despite making the Western Conference Finals soon after, Pelinka would stand pat, sitting out 2 of the last 3 deadlines. Pelinka's rationale? He would be using the picks to make a bigger splash in the offseason. So, what happened during the offseason? The Lakers would be only one of 3 teams to not make any moves, which brings us to the
Lakers fans out here, supporters out here like
the 2025 NBA season. Rob Pelinka's reputation at this point is in the gutters, developing the reputation of a GM who was very good at...
Hey, how y'all feel about Rob Pelinka now that he landed Luka Doncic? Or did Nico fleece him? Because word on the street is...
We got the Mavs fear. Listen, I think you guys scammed us, man. We need AD back, man. We're not going for this.
Hey, we got to run off. Can I get a hashtag run off on the plug? Get this back right.
Luka core, arming them with their best supporting cast to date. In conference finals soon after, to be only one of 3 teams to not make any moves, which brings us to the 2025 NBA season. Rob Pelinka's reputation at this point is in the gutters, developing the reputation of a GM who was very good at gaslighting ownership, as a report came out that he had successfully convinced Jeannie Buss to put all of the blame of the Westbrook trade on Frank Vogel.
The idea that Rob Pelinka would have convinced Jeannie Buss, and has been able to convince Jeannie Buss, that Russell Westbrook was either all LeBron's fault, or the fact that it didn't work was all Frank Vogel's fault. That man is a wizard when it comes to workplace politics.
Yeah. Bro, how y'all feel about that? Hey, and is it shots fired? If it's shots fired, hashtag shots fired in the chat.
Despite all the public criticism, Pelinka didn't cave.
Yes, we would do a trade with both picks if that would lead to sustainable Lakers excellence. We would also use 1 pick to make a marginal upgrade if we felt like it was the right thing to do.
But this season, with the Lakers exceeding preseason expectations, the pressure of going all in grew as the team neared the end of LeBron's tenure.
I think the LeBron James era is going to last another 6 months to 18 months. And I think the Lakers should try their hardest to build a championship team those 2 years.
On January 7th, 2025, the Lakers...
Serious question for all the Lakers supporters. Do you think Luka will be able to get his weight in check and establish that work ethic, behind the scenes mentality that Kobe had. And just thinking that the fact that Nico worked with Kobe, Nico was on the Dallas, Nico traded him to the Lakers. Is it a bigger plot twist at hand?
The Lakers would be in Dallas as the 5th seed in the Western Conference, having just won 7 of 10 games after inserting Max Christie into the starting lineup. The Mavericks, on the other hand, was underperforming preseason expectations, despite all the concerns with
Hey, man, y'all saw that Luka just had his hand out and nobody came and shook it?
Luka's defense over the summer. He seems to not have gotten better, but worse in that category, with multiple clips of defensive lapses going viral. But to call it underperforming is also
Yeah, that dude was wide open. I remember that play. I was like, man, who man was that? That's how bad Luka was. Literally, this was Luka.
Selling the team's potential, as their starting lineup with a healthy Luka was literally the top of the league in net rating and going 6-0 when utilized. Doncic was also noticing something very peculiar. Everyone who he seemed to care about within the organization was beginning to get fired. But back to January 7th. That morning, Rob Pelinka would be invited by Nico Harrison to sit down for a coffee in the lobby of the Hotel Crescent Court. During that meeting, Harrison would present Pelinka a question that would ultimately shake NBA history. Would you ever consider swapping Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic?
It started out as a I beg your pardon.
So nice, you gotta let it play twice.
I beg your pardon.
Coffee that, was more, hey, would you ever? I don't know.
Rob kind of thought he was kidding at first, but then he wasn't kidding.
Yes, we would trade for Luka. Thank you.
Yeah.
From Nico's perspective,
Just in case that was a dramatic pause, the video didn't skip.
this was a move to pair his 2 old Nike clients together, addressing the major defensive concerns of the Mavericks, all while getting off a superstar with questionable work ethics. Anthony Davis, not to mention, is coming off his healthiest year in the league, another Olympic gold medal, and was a top contender in the MVP race earlier this season. Without Mark Cuban, this would also be an easy decision to convince the new ownership group. But for Pelinka, this was an opportunity for an all-time heist, the perfect superstar to bridge the gap between the current and the future. A redo of the Chris Paul trade. This was the moment Rob Pelinka had been waiting for. This was Pelinka's get-out-of-jail-free card. But surely, it's too good to be true. There were 3 examples that Pelinka likely had in mind. The Kobe Bryant trade demand that ultimately went nowhere, the Chris Paul trade that was vetoed by the league, and his recent pursuit of AD and Kawhi Leonard. What did all of these failed trades have in common?
Rob Pelinka been taking L's for a long time.
Wait a minute.
I say the boy ain't getting done.
They all went public before a deal had gone through, becoming a spectacle and ultimately leading to pressure. Pelinka knew that for this to work out, they had to keep it on the low, suggesting the same to Nico Harrison as the two began negotiating in the shadows. Pelinka, knowing that he would likely need the Lakers' remaining 2 first-round draft picks to acquire Doncic, began canvassing the league to see what other additions he could make with second-round picks.
Chance to look at Rob Pelinka, who came in our green room and shared some of his thoughts that, look, if we are going to make a trade, we're not going to make a trade and give up a first-round draft pick.
Let's try woman. Short hair.
Try to hit your boy with the ads.
January 22nd, 2025, the word that
got back to LeBron and AD. That's when you got that Shams report. LeBron and AD, you're, quote, concerned.
On January 23rd, Anthony Davis would sit down with Shams to specifically demand the Lakers to make a move before the deadline.
I think we
AD wanted a center. That would say he a power forward. He a finesse player. He need to make sure his fingers and his hands are prepared to get on that war zone. But say he top 1%.
the big. I feel like I've always been at my best when I've been the 4.
Unbeknownst to AD, was that Pelinka was actually hard at work, and after canvassing the league, Pelinka came to the conclusion that for the Lakers to truly become a contender with Doncic, he would need at least 1 first-round pick remaining, meaning he can't send out both first-round picks in a trade for Doncic. Hence, Rob had to do what Rob knew best: gaslight Nico Harrison into thinking that this
was it a fleece. Rob Pelinka was over there like,
stick to the mission for the Lakers.
One of my sources inside the Lakers was indicating that the deal was bigger, that there were 2 firsts, and there was Dalton Connect, and the deal got whittled down. Because I think Rob Pelinka was able to convince the Dallas Mavericks that Luka is a lot of risk. Yeah. You guys are right for trying to look at this way, because this guy, is drinking or whatever, his weight problem, whatever it is.
But that's also not enough. Also had to convince Nico Harrison that keeping this negotiation a secret was Nico's own idea. How did Pelinka go about it? Well, this is speculation, but there is one similar situation that happened earlier in their careers where both Pelinka and Nico Harrison had lived through: the Kobe Bryant trade request, when Kobe was able to influence the team's decision once he got wind of the deal. Well, Nico, do you really want Luka now to get wind of what we're doing here?
One of the reasons why the Lakers were able to keep their second first-round pick is that the Lakers wanted to talk to Luka.
And that's dirty work. Did Rob Pelinka force Nico's hands by not allowing him time to actually think about the deal that was presented when all these current and other players were in the deal? And he used the "you don't want Luka" to find out? Boy, that's straight dirty work, bro.
And say, hey, if we trade for you, will you sign here this summer? And the Mavericks didn't want Luka to know. They wanted to get this deal done. And so they said, no, you can't. So Lakers said, we may, if we get here and Luka says, no, I got to have this player or this, we need something to trade for. And the Mavericks like, okay, keeping this quiet is worth maybe even giving up another Laker pick. Yeah. Because I think they were worried about what would happen if it got public.
On February 1st, during the middle of the night, Luka Doncic.
All right, so let's review the trade package. We got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, 2029 first-round pick, Luka Doncic to the Lakers, Markieff Morris, Maxi Kleber, and the Jazz received Jalen Hood and a 2025 second-round pick from LA. Bro, we gave up a second-round pick? Bro, I didn't even know that.
Luka Doncic, along with Markieff Morris and Maxi Kleber, will be traded for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. At Nico Harrison's press conference the following day, he will personally thank Pelinka for being able to keep this negotiation a secret.
And I'd like to give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. You know, trades, you guys have been around here. Trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, you know, really intense conversation over the course of, 3-4 weeks. You know, we kept it between us. We had to keep it tight.
Mavericks governor Patrick Dumont would also come out with a statement of his own.
Listen to this. If you look at the greats in the league, people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work. If you want to take a vacation, don't do it with us.
On the Lakers side, Rob Pelinka would use the leftover first-round pick to trade for Charlotte Hornets big man Mark Williams. Pelinka's rationale when being asked for finally going all in, quote, "We have 2 top 5, top 10 players in the world, and we just saw this as an opportunity to give those 2 players all the resources they need to make a playoff run." In Anthony Davis' first game as a Dallas Maverick, a dominant debut will be cut short as he would suffer an injury, sidelining him for weeks to come. Hours later,
Hey, I was live when this happened, so go check out the channel, check out the shorts, bruh. It's high five. The internet is undefeated. We read X comments right after the game.
it will be announced that due to a failed physical, the Lakers would rescind the trade for Mark Williams. The first-round pick that the Lakers fought so hard to save would have to be used at a later date. For what comes next, we're still living through it. But for as crazy of a moment as this was, the seeds have been planted all along. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name is Danny Wu. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll keep doing my part in putting out more videos. I usually don't cover current day topics, but
all right, there you have it. Make sure you check his channel out, like, subscribe, do what you want to do. I just wanted to make sure I left that in there. Fair use. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. And that does it for this episode. Like, subscribe, road to 1,000 subs. Holla.
We got the Mavs fear. Listen, I think you guys scammed us, man. We need AD back, man. We're not going for this.
Hashtag ran off on the plug. We don't want the X back, man. We on to the new chick.
Hey, yo!